Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great. I'm Angie, and on this week's episode of Music Mentality, we have Prianca RA. This lovely human is so sweet, and her music really reflects that. In this episode, we talk about the emotional investment it takes to write music, especially music that reflects her journey. We dive into the meaning behind her song Hurting and Healing, which you'll be able to hear a sample of in this episode. Being okay with not being okay is a struggle and a half, and Prianca and I talk about how there is such a need for humans to just simply not be okay, but the obstacles society sets makes it really hard to do so. Prianca shares her experience in taking care of herself in the face of mental struggle, and we touch on how external and internal validation plays such a huge role in both our hurting and healing. You can find Priyanka's music on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and Distrokid by searching her name as you see it in this episode. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your new music. You got some new music coming out soon, right?
Officially, releases May.
Amazing.
Next week.
And it's called
Hurting and Healing.
Yes. And do you want to talk about what it's about and how you wrote it? Because the title on its own is a pretty deep title, and I really want to give you the space so that you can talk about it, because I feel like it's a song that a lot of people can relate to.
For sure. So basically the song is about my journey through sort of depression and anxiety. So what I talk about is that even though we're hurting, it doesn't mean we're not healing. That's sort of the hook of the song. I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and what I sort of discovered is that recovery is not a linear process. It takes time to sort of come to terms with the various issues, and internalizing a lot of issues before being diagnosed, and having to deal with that one step at a time. And I talk about how it's okay to sort of not be okay, and you shouldn't really criticize yourself for that, and you should take time to sort of heal and overcome various issues. And I talk about, there's so much stigma, people sort of judge you for, taking time out. So I took time out of university to sort of come to terms with my own mental health issues, and I sort of got judgment for that from sort of various family members, and it sort of empowered me to sort of write a verse in the song where, I'm saying, you'll keep on judging because you feel entitled, and I'll keep on healing because I care about my survival. And I would say those are the most important lyrics of the song. So yes, I'm on my recovery journey. Yes, some days are harder than others, but it's okay to have those days where you feel less motivated to sort of be productive, but also know that it's an anomaly, and you will have those days. We're human at the end of the day, and there are times where you can just sort of step forward and be daring, and each day try new things. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to sort of challenge myself at my own pace. So essentially that's what the song's about.
That's really beautiful. And I think I can already relate to that because my friends and I recently talked about how I went through this really weird day last week where I was just off. I wasn't sad, I wasn't mad, I wasn't happy, I wasn't excited, I was just turned off. And it was a really weird moment, and it kind of made me realize this morning, actually, which is pretty ironic that we're having this interview today, that I am at once hurting and feeling like I'm getting worse, but at the same time, if I look at my journey, I'm not in the same place as I was yesterday. And so I am technically healing. And that thought on its own, knowing that, you're not in the same place as you were even last year or yesterday, that on its own is kind of it makes me feel better, at least, because knowing that times can change. And even if I'm in a worse place now than I was yesterday, knowing that times can change and situations can change with those times makes me feel like if they can change for the worse, they can probably change for the better too. So there's hope for tomorrow. And I feel like your song Hurting and Healing kind of saying that you can be in two places at once and two state of minds at once is such a beautiful thing, especially in this era where people are constantly talking about gratitude and manifesting and being positive, and like we're constantly manifesting our thoughts. That's kind of scary to me. It's great, but it's also scary because like my thoughts aren't always happy. I don't always want to manifest my thoughts.
Of
And
course, yeah.
like you said, just being okay with not being okay, that is so simple, yet one of the hardest things that anyone can possibly do. Just be okay with not being okay. So I'm really happy that you encompassed that in your song, and it's clearly like a very, very deep and meaningful message to both you and your audience. So good on that.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to write it?
Oh, I'm going back. Probably took me a lot longer to write this one. I would say about 4 to 7 days, from recollection. I sort of added a lot, after I wrote sort of the main piece. I remember just sort of like sitting on trains going to work, and I'll be like, oh, I've got an idea to put in the song. And I'm from a British Indian. I'm British Indian, so I do have Indian heritage, and my ancestors come from this state in India called Gujarat, and I sort of wanted to incorporate some sort of Gujarati in my song, and I came up with that quite later on. So sort of like the backing vocals, if you like, I'm sort of responding to the main verses in Gujarati. So yeah, I added a lot from that, and I sort of edited some verses as well. The main body I sort of wrote in 4 to 7 days, but incrementally it sort of built as time went on. So yeah, I felt like it was ready to sort of record a couple of months ago, and then yeah, I wanted to put it out there quite quickly after that.
So would you say that this is the hardest song that you've ever written, or do you have one that was a little bit more difficult?
It was harder than my first single, Spacecraft Burnout, probably because I did wanted to sort of get it right. I didn't want to sort of have any negative connotations in the song, because the song is about being optimistic in times of trouble. I had to think very carefully about what I needed to put in, and like I said, I edited some bits out and then put some other bits in, and rephrased certain verses to sort of fit the narrative. So yeah, it was kind of hard, but I wouldn't say it's the hardest song I've ever written. I think I've got some unreleased material that I want to sort of write about, for example, unrequited love or something like that, and that's takes a lot longer for me to sort of come up with my feelings with that, because love is very complex, isn't it? So like love songs are a lot harder to sort of write about.
It's interesting that you said being optimistic in times of trouble, because I mean that is not easy. That's really difficult.
It's not easy.
Like it circles back around to needing to not be okay and being okay with not being okay. So is there ever any moments in your life where you're feeling upset and you have to kind of force yourself to be optimistic, and would you tell someone else to do that?
I'll say that if I don't need to be somewhere, then I would let myself have that time to myself, and have those sort of time to sort of step back, and like I said, be in my shell, really, but know that it's okay to be in my shell, because another day can be different, right? But if I have to sort of turn up somewhere, if I've got to be at an event or even sort of see my friends or family, I would have to put myself in a different zone. But that's the thing, isn't it? When you sort of have to see friends and family, societal pressures sort of tell us that we have to say, yeah, we're okay, or everything has to be sort of rosy when we talk to our family and friends. I haven't really been in a situation with family or friends where I can just sort of open up, maybe because I don't really want to open up sometimes. It is very personal. I think I can really reflect what I'm feeling through music. I feel like words are inadequate sometimes to sort of phrase in everyday conversations. But I would sort of recommend to others that it's okay to, like cancel plans purely because you're not feeling up to it. It's okay to be like, I need to cancel plans because I'm not in the right headspace at the moment. I need time to just be by myself. I want to sort of encourage others to say, yeah, you can say that there is no harm in saying that, because at the end of the day, you need to put your own welfare at the top of the list, and not feel like you have to please everyone else.
That is the most important thing, to show up for yourself, especially when, I don't know, I find that maybe not newer generations, but I definitely know that older generations, we've grown up with this narrative that like we should always put other people first above ourselves. And that is just not it. Then you get that whole airplane theory. Everyone knows the airplane theory, where, you know, you put your mask on yourself first instead of the person beside you. True. Like, I very much so stand by that. But to be able to embody that feeling is so, so difficult. And I'm really happy that you have music to help you embody that feeling, because it's so important to show up for yourself. And I think that writing music is also a way of showing up for yourself. And laying in bed doing nothing. It's also like, honestly, we don't give enough props to the people who just want to lay in bed and do nothing on certain days, because those exist.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And it's like, everyone needs to win an Oscar by the age of 25, or else they're years, and then you get the whole imposter syndrome. Anyways, it's like this whole slippery slope if you don't show up for yourself. And showing up for yourself can look so different in so many. That doesn't necessarily mean going out and working out. Doesn't mean eating a certain type of way or anything. It just means doing what your body wants you to do in that moment. And that is not an easy thing to do. But back on your music, do you play any instruments?
I used to play piano. So I used to do covers when I was a bit younger, when I was about a teenager. So that time I just I knew basic chords, so I could sing and play certain chords to certain songs. So I did that before I started really sort of working on my own music. But yeah, as of now, I'm just singing. So.
Do you ever think that is a hurdle for you? Because personally, I can play a little bit of guitar. I mostly play piano. And like, my dream has always been to be able to be a singer and record my own song, but I'm just not a singer yet. It'll happen one day.
Yeah. Watch this space.
But do you ever find that it poses a hurdle for you to not be able to play instruments?
Not at all, really. I feel there are many sort of singers and songwriters out there that are literally just singers and songwriters that don't like play an instrument. And if I have the opportunity, I'd like to sort of go back into piano playing again if that opportunity crops up. But I'd say my strengths really lie in singing and songwriting. So I just want to focus on that at the moment. And, you know, when tracks are on Spotify, you know, if you've got good music, if you've got good lyrics, that's all that really matters. No one really like cares, you know, or she doesn't play a certain sort of instrument. Like, that doesn't mean that she's less talented. So I wouldn't say it's a hurdle really, but, you know, I'm open to, you know, trying new things.
So what does your songwriting process look like? Do you use softwares? Do you ever collaborate with people to help you write the instruments? What does that look like for you?
So my songwriting process, I just do it by myself. So I'm a sole songwriter. So sometimes sometimes I need the music first. I think most of the time I do need the music first. So with Her Singing Healing, it was produced by an American producer called Wishmaster, and I just heard the music, and I just thought, I really want to use this, and I feel like the emotion behind the music really sort of will blend well into what I want to talk about with sort of my recovery process through depression and anxiety. So what I did was I heard it, and then somehow the melody came along, and the even though we're hurting, it doesn't mean we're not healing. That part came quite instantaneously, really, and it's quite magical when that happens, because it's somehow you can just sort of flow the music onto the page, or hear the melody in your head when you listen to the music, and that really occurred with this track. And then sometimes it's about writing thoughts on the page and then sort of constructing it so it's structured in a song. Other times you can just sort of have lyrics that are sort of readily available and kind of byproduct just formate itself into a song, if that makes sense. So with this song, I did that. I kind of, the ideas flew on the page, but I sort of structured it so it was like a song and it fit the music, the background music. So even just writing lyrics is healing in itself, really. It kind of validates my own feelings and emotions and my experiences and the fact that I've been through it. And it's sort of, I can sit, you know, I sort of validate, you know, look how far I've come, like in hurting and healing. And then I can just sort of have that sort of cathartic moment where I was like really, really vulnerable. And the cover photo just kind of shows like fragments of broken glass, but then it's my hand sort of like holding it together. Before that, it would there was just, it felt like glass was all over the floor. But the fact that I'm sort of holding it together, that's how far I've come, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the songwriting process with that. You know, I sort of realized that I have come a long way, and the song is really authentic to what I'm saying.
Songwriting is something that is so healing for me as well. I love songwriting, so I really resonate with that. But do you ever find yourself angry at yourself for maybe not being able to express a thought the way that you want to express it, or not being able to find the right words, or, you know, moments of writer's block where you don't even know what to write, but like, you're a songwriter, that's what you are, you're an artist, you want to create art and it's there but it's not there?
Yeah.
Ever feel that anger, and how do you deal with those emotions?
I try and be as chilled as possible. I don't want to sort of get angry sometimes, because I just think sometimes it is can be anti-productive. And if you get angry, you know, the chances are sometimes you could just like give up. I've had writer's block before. So with some of my songs that I want to release, I still need to go back and rephrase certain lyrics, or go back and change the lyrics, edit it. Even if I've got the main bulk of the song sort of ready and ideas on the page, there's a song that I want to release, talking about sort of me sort of being infatuated, and that's the song itself. And I didn't really know how to sort of write about being infatuated before. I couldn't really understand it in my head, really. So how could I sort of write it if I didn't understand it? So there were times where I just had to sort of like step back and just pause, because I did have songwriter's block. And then but even like when I wake up from a distorted sleep, I'll have some ideas can come at such random times, and that sort of is the process where, you know, it's really hard to sort of just sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna get a song down now. Sometimes that's not the case, and that was the case in the song where I'm talking about infatuation. It is a long process of, okay, I've got some lyrics down, but then I can go and delete the whole thing, like, because I've come up with a better idea, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's really validating to know that music and art can be created wherever you go at any moment.
Yeah,
And it's
for
just
sure.
all lives within your head, even in moments of like writer's block. I said it before, but we speak in lyrics. So much of what we say are lyrics, and it's art. And, you know, you could be walking outside and there is music everywhere you go. I don't even like the word noise, because I mean, there's just music everywhere. Speaking of validation, that's something that I want to talk about. External and internal validation. So something that I've struggled with pretty often is seeking external validation, but consciously knowing that that is not a good thing to do. So do you ever struggle with bouncing between depending on internal validation and external validation? How do you cope with that?
I think with internal validation, it's very, very much a longer process of mine to sort of attain self-love and be happy within myself. I'm definitely getting there, but I'm not 100% there yet. Also, I think with external validation, you know, if you sort of like someone and get feelings of them, you sort of want to sort of impress them quite a lot. And I've gone through life like really liking someone and them not liking me back. And that's been the general sort of pattern. And every single time I'd want to sort of impress them. And it wouldn't stop. Like,
So natural though.
I will like, I don't like anyone as of now, but like if I meet someone again who I like, I'll want to impress them constantly and feel like in my head, oh, it's never going to happen, but I'm still going to do it anyway. But that's definitely external validation as well.
Yeah, I feel like external validation is definitely hidden in all the nooks and crooks of our life without us even realizing it. But interesting that you mentioned the idea of a destination, you know, like when this happens, I will feel better and I will be fully healed. And, you know, that's that, because I find that like with depression, anxiety, anything at all, it's an ongoing process. Like some days I just too many things happen and I have no energy, and being happy takes too much energy, or having positive thoughts takes too much energy and I don't have that energy. So it's easier to just be sad. And that is both very common and natural, like a very natural feeling, but it's also kind of scary because getting into that mindset for me also kind of breeds this ground of comfortability and enjoying my depression or my anxiety or something, whatever it is that people might be going through. But on the note of destination, one of my battles is an eating disorder. So I've been dealing with an eating disorder for like years on and off, but is it really ever on and off? It's usually always on and either at the surface or behind everything. And I keep on telling myself, you know, like when I'm thinner and when I weigh this much, or when I have this kind of ass, or when I have this kind of body, like that's when I'm going to feel better and I'm not going to have an eating disorder anymore. But that very thought in of and itself is an eating disorder. Like, I feel like a lot of what people go through, they don't even realize that they're going through it because it's just such a natural thought. And it's like hidden behind all these different nooks of our lives. And we don't even realize that we're suffering through a mental challenge, because that's the thing. It's all in our heads, quote unquote. We feel it physically as well, obviously. That's the thing though. Like our mind is such a scary place, and recovery shouldn't depend on us looking a certain type of way or being in a certain place in our lives.
No, 100%.
Or, you know, being friends with certain type of people. Like it doesn't have anything to do with those external validating factors. Like being fully healed, quote unquote, which I don't even know if that's exactly a thing, like being fully healed, which is bittersweet, I guess. But I think that it's a state of mind, and it doesn't depend on any external factors, which is the difficult thing to acknowledge.
Yeah, it is. I still don't know what being fully healed would look like, but knowing that I can be stronger than I was today just keeps me going. Because it's sort of like, for example, if I were here when I was sort of broken, I've sort of feel like I've overcome, you know, a mountain to get to where I am now. And the fact that I've done that and I'm able to do that, if there's other mountains to climb, I feel like I can do that. And hopefully, you know, being fully healed is a destination over there somewhere. And I don't know what that looks like at the moment, but I'm excited to see what that does look like. And like you said, it doesn't depend on external validation or any external factors like, oh, I need to be thinner to be happy, you know. It really is not the case. It's more about being sort of stronger mentally in yourself and loving yourself more, and looking in the mirror every single day and like I say in a song, appreciating how far you've come. I think those are sort of like the most positive, productive thoughts you can have, even on bad days. Like, I've got some stuff going on in my mind and I need to take some time out, but I can look in the mirror and say, you know, this isn't a step back. This just means that I just need this anomaly day off.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. That reminds me of this trend on TikTok that was going around where it's like, film yourself now and 2 months from now you will be in a better place. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that. So I filmed myself. 2 months later, I'm in like the worst place I have ever been in my entire life. And I was like, shit, guess that wasn't the case. But you know what, again, like I said at the beginning, knowing that things can get worse is honestly weirdly just as comforting as knowing that things can get better, because if they can get worse, they can get better. The point is that they change, and change is a really scary thing, but also a really amazing thing, because that does mean that it's just a matter of time till things start looking brighter, and you just gotta wait it out or work towards it or whatever it is in your process that you feel is right for you, whether it's waiting or making it happen. I feel like there's like this narrative again that you got to make things happen, and I guess you do, but you know, sometimes you can.
I want to encourage anyone that's listening to know that it's okay not to be okay, you know?
The thing about music is that it doesn't matter if you're alone in your bedroom or in a park or with a group of friends or on stage in front of an audience. Like, music is music, and it stays the same in its feelings, in that like it doesn't matter who's watching. Art is still art. It's kind of like, I guess this is the first thing that came to my head, but like when a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? And I guess it's kind of like music as well. Like, it doesn't really matter if people are around to hear it or not. It's still art. It's still music. It's still your creation. It's your baby. That's a very beautiful thing. But then that goes back to external validation and us talking about needing to seek that, or not needing to, or aiming towards not wanting to seek that. But it's people, I feel like art often breeds this ground where we seek external validation for our music to be like, is this correct? And that's the thing. That's what I love about music. There's no, you can color outside of the lines, quote unquote. There are no lines to color within. Like, music is beautiful in that it's free for everyone to just create and express themselves in. And it's like the most accepting community, but also the most difficult community if we're talking about like fame and fortune and needing to watch your every word, because you best know that a paparazzi is going to catch you saying the wrong thing and like put that on blast, and next thing you know, you're getting canceled. So like that's where it's really difficult, these like societal expectations of people needing to constantly be perfect. And that's just really difficult. Like, if you are seeking fame, how do you not seek fame anymore? Like, I was thinking of this earlier, actually, like the idea of wanting to sell my soul to not want to sell my soul anymore.
Yeah, as an artist, I'm just going to focus on putting really good quality music out there, with the hope that my music can really positively benefit other people, because that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about how art and the power of words can change perceptions. And the way I songwrite and the way I've written lyrics have changed my perceptions on, you know, my journey. And really sort of, I can see my journey, for example, hurting and healing. I can really sort of envision my journey throughout depression and anxiety, from being diagnosed to where I am now through the song. So if I can really shape another person and change their perceptions or affect their perceptions of their own sort of journey through depression and anxiety, it could be anything, like a period of time where they've been really sad. You know, you don't have to be formally diagnosed, and really sort of paint a picture for them. Yeah, that's my job done, really, I'd say.
Yeah. So this podcast, the whole aim of it was to help just one person. I was like, you know what, like, I want to either help like the artists or the people listening, and like I just want to provide a platform where people can express themselves and come safely and just like be together. I want to help people, just at least one person. That's what I kept telling myself, just at least one person. But I guess that's kind of, again, goes back to external validation, because looking at the big picture, you writing your music, hosting this podcast for me, we are helping ourselves in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's therapeutic. For me, this is very therapeutic. I love
talking. For sure. Likewise. Yeah.
And same thing with writing music. And the way you write music is just so beautiful and so unique and so different. And I find that like the approach that you take is not a mainstream one at all. And it's just such a breath of fresh air to see this like different style of art that is also just as correct as any other style of art, even if it's mainstream. But like,
thank you.
And I think that
that's made my week, that has.
Yay! Oh my God, accomplishment. But it's really nice to know that your music has helped you through so many difficult times, because those difficult times are always going to be there. I remember in grade 6 being told that, life doesn't actually get better. It actually gets shittier. Life is shit, but you get stronger. Better.
Yeah.
And I find it really rewarding seeing, and I'm sure you can probably relate to this, it's probably rewarding for you to be able to use your art as a way of healing, both hurt. Haha.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. No, I encourage you to sort of go back to songwriting and performing, even if it's just for yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list. I literally on my vision board at the beginning of the year, I was like, I am going to write and record one song this year, just one song. That's all I want. I'm still learning to sing though, but
well, if you teach me, was it piano that you play, or is it piano that you play?
Yes.
Well, if you teach me, and then I can teach you songwriting and singing. I'm sure you'll be able to
little
sing.
Collab there.
Yeah. Oh, like you just seem like sunshine in human form, to be honest. You actually do. All right, it was lovely speaking with you.
It was lovely speaking with you too, and I really look forward to speaking with you again.
For sure. Take care now.
Bye.
Even though we're hurting, it doesn't mean we're not healing. It doesn't mean we're not healing. It doesn't mean we're not healing. Ooh, we may fall for criticism, but critics don't have informed wisdom. A little understanding and patience can keep us from the fall. Can keep us from the fall. The hardest part is facing the day, because the pain doesn't seem to go away. They don't understand that at all. Even though we're hurting, it doesn't mean we're not healing. It doesn't mean we're not healing. It doesn't mean we're not healing. And my mind is burning. My anxiety keeps on running. I have a headache in the silence, but it doesn't mean I'm not healing. I'm healing at my pace. It's not a race. I'm healing. Even though some days are hard and others are not, letting go of the past is setting me free. And I'm on this wonderful journey. I've been told to paint a smile, dear, let go of your fears. Look at your peers are right here. Have you been through that so bad? They've graduated uni, they're on the road now. So how come you've stopped now? Do a lazy chop. I so long to say, have you suffered from abuse and kept it in for so many years to protect the ones you love? Have you had missleep from the nightmares and panic attacks and hurt yourself because you're haunted from the past? But instead I keep my mouth closed, because it's my life hidden from you. So keep your judgment in your black and white room. You'll keep on judging because you feel entitled, and I'll keep on healing because I care about my survival. Broken hearts are hurting all around the world, all around the world, all around the world. We can't fall apart. Just remember it's not a full stop, it's a pause. Take each day as it comes, and I know you'll shine brighter than clouds of judgment with no substance at all. I went from feeling small to standing 10 feet tall. 'Cause I'm a survivor. When you say it's all in your head, if I broke my leg, would you neglect to take me to the hospital to get it checked? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. You can't see your heart outside, doesn't mean it's not there. And don't you know you break my heart when you validate what I've been through? Gotta go.